June 9th of 1934, Donald Duck appears on the scene. Donald Duck is part of the Disney crew that's creating these animated shorts. At the time, there are animated movies at this point, but mostly animated shorts play in front of other films or as collections. And he was part of a Disney collection that was telling the story of the wise little hen who's asking for help creating some food, and Donald Duck repeatedly says no thank you to helping and then expects to be fed anyway and is disappointed at the end. And what we have to understand is that Donald Duck is right in the middle of the Great Depression, right? This is 1934. This is like 3 days after FDR signs the SEC, the act that creates the SEC, which means that this is like them still trying to figure out how to regulate these markets so the Great Depression doesn't happen again. There is actual widespread hunger in the United States where this film about being hungry and participating in the greater good is being shown by Disney. And this is like the weeks leading up to the Night of the Long Knives in Germany. Adolf Hitler gets control and power in 1933, but he still had a bunch of people within his own party that were offering some balance, right? That were potentially also vying for power, but also keeping him on kind of like a, yeah, but we do things right in a certain way. And Night of the Long Knives is when he comes in and just he makes sure he doesn't have any conflict moving forward. And this is the weeks that is happening in Germany, the lead up to that. It's June 30th that it happens. So that's where Donald Duck appears. 9 years later, Donald Duck wins his first and only Oscar. And it's for a short animated clip called Der Führer's Face. And this is this film essentially just making fun of Nazi Germany, making kind of parody of all the things that they were trying to put out, and trying to portray the Nazi German human experience as pretty wretched. And it starts, I'm going to spoil it for you, it's fine. It's a 7.5 minute long video. It is on the video platforms, you can find it. He wakes up and takes out his single coffee bean tied to a string and tries to make himself coffee with it. Then he goes off to work in a munitions factory. He's basically just sitting here at this conveyor belt, struggling to keep up. And then he has this kind of nightmare sequence about war and Germany and authoritarianism. And at the end, he wakes up and it turns out this was all a nightmare and he is American. And there is a Statue of Liberty statue on his windowsill that he hugs and kisses, and he's dressed in his American flag pajamas, all happy at the end. And this is what won the Best Animated Short in 1943 at the Oscars, because it was part of this war effort. These films were not just shown to kids. This was often tied with Casablanca in 1943. So adults would be going to see Casablanca, and before that, they would see this 7.5 minutes of Donald Duck. So this is what Donald Duck was during World War II, and where we see the Donald Duck that becomes, part of the comic books and part of the cartoons comes from that arc out of the Great Depression and then World War II.